White. Today we'll be talking to Michaela Cox, who is a writer, very prolific writer. She would consider herself legally blind, but she has gone through so many things. She had gone through divorce, single motherhood, but Michaela stood and decided that she's going to overcome. Doesn't matter what it is. That's a sign of resilience in challenges, especially during this time of the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm going to bring Michaela into the studio so that we can talk a bit about her childhood, who is really Michaela, and the approach that she has in dealing with her challenges. And we look at her books, a number of books that she had written, right, that would help you to be a better single mother, a better person as it relates to going through the challenges that you may face in life during this pandemic and after pandemic. Michaela, how are you doing?
I'm good. You?
Nice to see you. Nice to meet you.
You.
Nice to have you talk with me, Michaela.
Yes, I'm glad to be here.
Nice. Tell me about yourself, Michaela. Who is Michaela Cox? Let's hear about you.
I'm a writer, as you said. I've published 7 books. I'm a mom. I live in Louisiana now. I'm a Southern girl, and I've had a lot of interesting experience along the way.
Cool. What about your childhood?
It was pretty normal. Nothing out of the ordinary except for what you mentioned. I'm going to show my age here. I'll be 43 in November, but I was born in 78, right? It's just a number, folks. But I was born with a disability. Most of my life, I've been legally blind. In my actual moment of my birth, when I came into this world, I was totally blind. I know you have a very diversified audience, but from who probably come from very diverse places in life and everything, as we all do. But for me, my place has always been a place of faith. And for my family, we believe there was a miracle done, because at 7 months old, I had gained my sight, although it be impaired. And so whether totally blind or impaired, every breath I've taken, every day I've lived, I've always had impaired vision, uncorrectable vision problems, visually disabled, and then eventually legally blind. So
Right.
Just who I am. It's always been my normal reality. I've never had anything to compare it to. I wasn't like someone who had full ability in that department, and then all of a sudden, due to like a freak accident or whatever reason, it wasn't. So I've always known, disabled vision or visual impairment or legal blindness. I've never had a day that was different. So I don't know any different.
Okay. I'm really proud of you, Michaela. Let me say that. I've read a lot about you on your website, and you're really an amazing person. Tell me though, what is legal blindness? Can you explain that for persons who
Yes. I was raised in the States, so I'm sure if there's international viewers or listeners to your platform and podcast, I'm not sure if this definition is specific to the United States or if it's considered universal to all issues related to legal blindness. But in the States, think of the median as being 20. The golden standard of vision is 20/20, and the further you get away from that, the more impaired you are. So for legal blindness, what it's saying is, within the parameters as the law defines it and sees it, if you are 2200 to 2400 visual acuity uncorrected, you are within their parameters of their definition within the terms of the law as being blind, hence legal blindness.
Okay. I have a general question I'd like to ask you. This relates to driving though. Right? You do not drive, do you?
No, I do not. That's not a good idea.
Right, right. That's okay. Generally, persons who are living with sight impairment, do you think that they should be driving? Do you think that there should be some mechanism, some regulations, but have them driving?
I would honestly have to say, for people who don't understand visual issues, it's a very complex thing, because there's so many different ways someone can be visually impaired. There's so many different sources of it. And you could have 100 people in a room with the exact same vision problem, but if you tweak it one way a little bit, the other, or the other way, it could impact them totally differently. So it's really a case-by-case basis, because how their vision is impaired is going to directly impact their ability and what they could do on the road or not. In my case, it's not advisable because mine is not as simple as, oh, she's nearsighted or she has an astigmatism. It's deeply rooted in an optic nerve damage. My optic nerve is totally screwed up, and then you add to that nearsightedness and astigmatism, very shoddy peripheral vision, and very shoddy depth perception, which, from what I hear, greatly helps someone who's driving as to how far out they can see, and if they can interpret, how far something is away and whatnot, and their reaction time on the road. And with those, knowing that is at play in my visual impairment, I really don't think that would be a wise decision for anybody on the road.
Okay.
Well, you would really have to make a judgment call based off of the individual case and what's impairing their vision and why, and how it impacts what they're able to do.
Okay. Tell me, do you see the world differently, right? Being visually impaired. Do you see the world differently in any sense of the word, sense of the concept?
Well, actually, physically, yes, I do. But aside from the obvious, from a more less literal and probably metaphorically speaking, I would absolutely say I do, because our experiences absolutely give us different perspectives than what we go through. And someone who's been through different experiences, that's going to impact their worldview. But when you have a world that people take in 90% through visual and vision, and that's our main sense of learning and gaining knowledge and experience to the world, and that's impaired, you're going to have your body, as the body does, to compensate and modify how you adapt in this world. So yes, I do things differently. I may do the same things that people do, but I've always had to strive to find my own method and my own way of achieving the same goal, but just in different ways. So I think of things differently. And when you've spent a lifetime, literally, of thinking outside the box and coming up with creative solutions to get around a disability that can't change, so that you can still function and have a life that you've chosen that you want for yourself, you do things through differently, and you have to be a good problem solver and think outside the box and get creative and make it work and not let it stand in your way.
Interesting. Those of you who are listening to us and your favorite podcast platform, there's something you might not be seeing it, but I'm going to read it for you. Those seeing it on YouTube would be, would be able to connect with it. Michaela Cox had this saying. I got it from her website. She said that my true earnest and continual desire and purpose and always will be to share my heartfelt message, my truth, and stories from my art with you all. What does that mean, Michaela? What does it?
Just like you were saying, when you live different experiences, you see a different world, or you see the world differently. I feel like through being disabled my whole life, along with the other things we'll get into later, it's given me stories, it's given me a message and lessons learned and wisdom gained. And even though I don't have all the answers, I've learned what I've learned to help me and what I think can help other people. And I want to share that.
Okay, great. And you have shared that and continue to share that through your books. And, I want you to tell me about some of your books now.
The first one that came out in 2011, is the actual namesake of the website, Heartfelt Meditation. It was a collection of poetry I had written. And so that was, I can't believe, 10 years ago. So there's that one. And then in 2019, I created and wrote my first book on motherhood that stemmed from my experience as a first mom in 2010 after the birth of my daughter. It's entitled Take a Sip, Take a Breath, and Go, A Journey Through Motherhood. In 2020, I released the companion book to that so that other new and first-time moms could explore their own journey through their motherhood, to hopefully help them explore and learn about their own journey as I did mine. And then in the summer of 2020, I started my other series on my faith and beliefs of scripture, spirituality, in our culture today. Following that up was July in 2020, I wrote a little book called Living the Beach Life. And I know that piques a lot of people's interest because I'm a beach girl and everyone loves the beach, or at least I do. That came from a family vacation that I took on the North Carolina beaches, and I got inspired by being in the waves and feeling reflective about what we can learn for nature when I was enjoying time with my daughter and son at the beach. Also, that summer of 2020, I did a series. It's not a children's series, but it is a series I want to do for my children to pass on to them truth and wisdoms about life that I think is important for them to learn and have with them as they grow and take their own journey through life. And it's called Before the Clock Strikes Midnight. And then the most recent of March of this year, I had intended to release it for the U.S. election of 2020. But it's called We the People Are Defining and Exploring Who We Are as a People, Society, and Nation.
Great. What is your bestseller? Which of them?
I really don't know right now.
That's all right. What is your best? I mean, you would understand because I write as well. I have some books, and I have a book that I love.
Right.
One of my book that I love. Which one do you love of all?
That is hard to say because I'm passionate about all of them.
Okay, right.
And I think there's a purpose, and I think there's a reason for all of them. But I would say probably I'm very much looking forward to the one that I will hope to have out in June.
Yeah.
That is going to be about really walking through my life experiences and what I have learned. And I think that's going to be really advantageous. And I really hope reach a lot of people to help them understand their own journeys of whatever they're struggling and challenging through, and maybe find a way through their own journey. So I'm looking forward to that one being out.
Right. We have a lot to talk about. You're listening to Canyouth Exploration, your topic in the podcast. I'm talking to Michaela S, who is a writer. She describes herself as legally blind, lifelong legally blind from birth, right? Michaela?
Correct.
Yeah, from birth. Tell me, though, there is this concept that you have as it relates to how you deal with your challenges. Let us go into that. Right, but before I do that, Michaela, before I look at the approach that you use, tell me about some of the challenges that you have faced in life.
Well, obviously the disability, that was the first main one because, like I said, it started at birth, so pretty much the whole entire time.
Yeah.
It's just who I am, what I do is what I've always had and known. So it's just I've adapted. I've tried my best anyway. When I was 26, I got divorced from my first husband in marriage, and I walked away from that very interesting situation. And then in 2017, I would been informed on April 4th, so it's just been over 4 years, that the man that I met after my divorce and was the love of my life, we would have lost him, and he passed away. And in that one instant, I was a widow and a solo mom of my two beautiful children, and was still disabled. So that's been another interesting journey of this equation.
All right. And let me, on behalf of Canute Exploration, condolence to you. It would have been a long time, but you still have a lot, right? So condolence.
Yes. It's a constant journey. It's
a constant.
ever evolving and changing, and something new every day. So it gets better,
Right.
and it still changes.
338 triple D, perhaps that's how you call it, or 38 DDD. How do you pronounce that? Triple D, you'd say?
38 triple D. It's more of a way of summarizing my life story, because I went through all three of them: disability, divorce, and death by the age of 38. So it's just a way of, like, it's triple D's. I did disability my whole life. I did divorce at 26, and unfortunately I knew what it was to experience loss and death at not the youngest, but a relatively young age, to be a widow and a solo mom at 38. And my children, also not the youngest, but very young, to have suffered the loss of their father at 6 and 3 in 2017. So I experienced all three by 30.
Very interesting, though. That's very interesting. But that came from, I think you have this annex to 38 triple D, something that you talk about fate. There's this topology that you use. Life is choice, mindset. I want you to explain those things.
Okay, I agree. The first step is life is a choice. we may not get to choose what we're handed. Like, I didn't have a say or a choice in being born blind or visually impaired. Yes, I walked away from my first marriage, but I did not choose the choices that led to that he did and his bad decisions. And I definitely didn't choose or get asked if I wanted to lose the love of my life and my children be raised without their father. But you're playing a card game, spades, hearts, whatever, solitaire, it makes me no difference. Gin, rook, whatever, pinochle, bridge, list goes on. And you are given certain cards depending on the rules of the game that you are given in your hand to play. You may not choose those cards, but as hopefully a very skilled card player, you will hopefully strategically choose when to play a card to hopefully aid you in achieving the goal of winning that game or that hand. You're an artist, you're hired for a job. We all know the way the world works. When you're hired for a job, you have to do what the boss says. As an artist, you may prefer certain types of art material or methods of art, but your boss comes to you and says, hey, you're going to do it on this part art material and this way of art, and you're like, I don't like that kind. You're like, well, that's what I want. So you have to be willing and choose to, although not your favorite or well at or whatever you want to call it, you get to choose what beautiful creation you put on that material. I have always strived to choose not to let my circumstances define me, but for me to define what I would do within those circumstances and what life I would have despite those circumstances.
Is it hard to choose though? Before you go on to the other, is it? Do you think it was hard for you to choose? Is making a choice something that would be easy for others to do, for people to do? What do you think?
Making a choice is not about if it's easy or not. Life is always about choices.
Mhm.
It is choices, whether we want them or not. It's the choices we make in life take us down one path or another. And we can choose them or not choose them, but sometimes in not choosing, you're making a choice. So
Okay.
whether we wanted to make choices or not, we still have choices to be made, from as simple as what food we're going to eat to whether I'm going to go to bed or not, or who I'm going to marry, or am I going to have kids, or, whatever. Now, the reality of life's journey of having to make choices all the time, it doesn't have a dang thing to do with whether those choices are easy or not. The
Okay.
fact remains, it comes down to a choice.
Yeah. Oh, that
I
sounds
never said it
logical.
was easy. I just said it was
I
a
love
choice.
that. I love
It
how
has
you put it.
nothing to do with easy or comfort level, okay? It has to do with that's the reality of living life.
Oh yeah, I agree with you, Michaela.
There's
Mindset.
no getting around it. There's no getting out of it.
I realize it because you said something. What if you're choosing not to make a choice is also a choice? I love that. I
Well,
love
it's true.
that.
It makes
Yeah,
it for you,
that's logical. That's logical. Mindset.
Yes, I think that's a logical next part of it. And I do agree that maybe sometimes a bit more challenging than actually making a choice, but it's oftentimes our mindset that allows us to keep true to the path we have chosen, or the choices we want to make. Because if we're positive, then we know we can do it. If we're not positive, then we may not accomplish it. There's a reason why in society we hear all the time mind over matter, or that mindset is key. I mean, the way you see the world, or how you want to view the world, and what you do of either positivity or negativity, or health in a healthy perspective, or toxicity, being toxic about it, will determine what you may be able to do in life or not. I mean, if you doubt yourself, or if you give in to, negativity, then you're going to have a negative worldview, and it's going to be hard to be productive and feel like you can achieve it. I mean, our mindset pretty much holds the key to allowing us to be in a frame of reference of staying true to what we choose. I mean, and it often can help you stay balanced and focused and, centered, so that you can go forward doing and striving for what you chose to set out to do, if that makes any sense.
Yes, it does. But how much does our situation, right? You might have heard about this saying, the child is the father of the man, right? It's simply saying that your experience as a child curved or influence your adulthood,
Well, it
right?
does, but it still goes back to the choice. What are you going to do with that influence? Are you going to let it rule you? Or if let's say it's something that was negative, okay? I'm not saying it was, but let's say it was a negative. Are you going to let that negativity rule the potential future that you want for the rest of your life just because something happened 20 years ago?
Right.
I mean, I'm not saying that's easy. Like I said, this ain't got nothing to do with easiness. It's just at
Right.
some point in life, you have to just make a decision and a choice of what you want your life to be. And that's making certain choices that could be for the better down the road, and decide I'm not going to let what happened in the past have a hold on me and stop me from my future. If that's part of your equation, is that easy? No. But if you want something different, then I mean, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing again. So if you want something different, you need to choose differently and
Right.
figure out different ways of approaching that, which can come from having a certain mindset.
Interesting. Self care.
Absolutely. I will admit, I was not the best at it when I was younger. When I was a young mom, and
Right.
somehow when my daughter was 8 months old, I thought, yay, this is the best time to go to grad school. Not. I don't know what got into me on that one, but whatever. I live to tell, and I'm still here. But
Right.
I was a mom. My husband was in grad school. We had one child at the time. We ended up having two before it was over and said done with, and I was out of grad school. He was military. He was oftentimes not at home a lot because he was serving America, which is, I supported him that, but it was challenging.
Yeah.
Um, and so we did all the things. We were married and young kids and degrees and work and schedules and whatnot. But um, so I wasn't the best at taking self-care, and I'm a woman, obviously, because I have
Yeah.
children, and you can see me, but so I can't speak for men, but I know as a woman, a lot of times in life, we very much want to be all things to all people and do everything for everyone that we love and care for, and we want to lovingly do that.
Yeah.
And we very often don't maybe carve out time for ourselves or think about our needs so much because we're trying to do all the things, whether it's being a wife or a mom or a daughter or a granddaughter or a grandmother or an aunt or an employee or a colleague or
Mhm.
a friend, or fill in the blank, all the hats and all the jobs and all the roles that we're juggling. And then even if we were to give ourselves 5 minutes, sometimes we feel guilty about it because we're thinking about, oh my God, I need to be doing this. I mean, the laundry, the dishes, the kids screaming, and it's like, my husband said, I need this he's like, and so we can't step away. But
I
I
know. Right.
think, in society, oftentimes self-care, up until probably more trendier times of it's kind of a hot topic right now, that it's gotten a bad rap because it seems selfish when
Mhm.
it's really not. Because in order to do all the things that we're doing for the ones we love, that we want to keep doing,
Yeah.
at some point, I like to think of it as we are deep wells filled with water, okay?
Okay.
And we're always pouring out cups of water to give to people, to nourish them and care for them and love them, whatever, fill their tanks. Well, eventually that well is only got so much water. It's going to run out. When
Yeah.
there's no water left, there ain't no water left. There ain't nothing you can do about it unless you're putting something back in.
Yeah.
So self-care is a time and a way to kind of rejuvenate and refuel and replenish what you've been so willingly and lovingly giving out, and so
Mhm.
that you're not burnt out. And so that if you take that 5 minutes, now self-care is a very broad topic because
Mhm.
it implies anything involving caring for oneself, the
Yeah.
needs of the self. Now that can look like very different things because we're very different individuals, and
Mhm.
we fuel ourselves through very different means. I like to journal, I like to swim, I like to listen to music, I like to hang out with my girlfriend, whatever. Some
Yeah.
people may want to do yoga, some people want to meditate, do art, exercise, garden, sports, go running. I don't. Now, me personally, you ain't ever going to see me run. That's work. Unless I'm scared or running for my life and across the road, I ain't running nowhere. Okay, that's work to me. That ain't relaxing. But each to their own. I find my fuel and my rejuvenation through different things. Someone else is going to find it in different ways because we're different
Yeah.
people. But the
Mhm.
point is, whatever that thing is for you and that method, as long as you're taking time in a responsible manner to
Mhm.
refuel, read a book, take a breath, I don't care. But
Yeah.
you're taking that time so that when you do get done having those moments, you can come back able, ready, replenished, rejuvenated, centered, and balanced and focused to keep doing all those amazing things
Yeah.
that you do for all those people that are in your life that you love and care for.
Yeah. But Nakila, what do you do, or and again, what would you recommend that people do to replenish?
It's
That's
their own version of what makes them. For me personally, mine's not going to be the same as someone else. Quite honestly, sometimes I take naps.
that's all right. That's a good one.
Yeah, so I work out, or it's fixing to be summertime in Louisiana. I'm going to be in that pool with my kids a lot, hanging out, enjoying. Okay, I
Right.
can back to my kids swimming. I'm a water person. Come June, I'm going to be on the Gulf Coast on the beach with my girlfriends. Okay, and I'm counting down
Yeah.
those days. Let me tell you, I watch TV at night. I'll admit it. I will veg out on TV while I work on my computer. I enjoy an occasional drink. I go to my, I take a nice hot bath. I go to the spa. I read a book. I journal. I listen to music. Those are
Right.
things that soothe my soul, that make me feel happy or find joy and refill my cup.
Yeah.
That may not work for someone else. That may be a hard workout. More power to them. I might work on the treadmill, but I'm not going to work out for 2 hours. So have fun with that, which is fine. If that's your thing, more power to you. I don't care. I'm just saying, whatever that is for you. Some people like planting beautiful plants and enjoying the beauty of them. Go garden, knock yourself out, but find something that brings you peace and serenity and recharge and reset and rejuvenate and replenish or refuel or whatever you want to put on it, and take a little time for yourself so that you can keep pursuing your purpose, doing the things you want to do, and have a positive mindset. Because if we're overwhelmed because we're doing too much and haven't stopped to take time for ourselves, our mindset gets screwed up. Then we can't stay true to the choices that we decided we wanted to do and stay on the path we want. To me, they're all very connected.
But incidentally, let me ask you, have you ever gone to Jamaica?
No, but I do want to travel.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about the beach. Jamaica is a nice destination. I mean,
No doubt.
right? Yeah, I'm just telling you. I'm in South Florida now. I'm talking to you from Merrimar, Florida, right?
Yeah.
Where are you? Which state are you in?
I'm in Louisiana.
Oh, cool. Right. So, take a trip down to Jamaica one day, right?
Yeah, when the world gets more normal for travel.
Yeah, I know, right? I tell you.
We've all been grounded for the last 15 months.
I know, but we'll get through it, and I hope that you'll travel as soon as this is over. Getting and having resources. That's something that interests me. What is that saying, really?
What that means is, we've been talking about life as a choice, which is true, and our mindset and getting self-care. But in every journey, especially if you're going through challenges or struggles or obstacles, even the most person who really wants to persevere, even sometimes you come up on a roadblock, you get stuck, you can't figure it out, or something's bogging you down or stopping your progress, whatever. So at some point you may have to say, I need a little extra help. I mean, I love the song by Paul Simon and Garfunkel, I'm a rock, I'm an island, but it really doesn't work that way. We all need help at some point, whether we want to admit it or not. And so sometimes you have to reach out and say, I'm really trying to do this and I don't want to lose momentum, but I need a little help figuring whatever's stopping and slowing me down. So, if you're having trouble with your mindset, well, maybe you need to talk to a friend to help you get a different perspective, or maybe you need to read a book that can inform whatever problem you're going through. Or for me, I personally, I have no problem admitting I need counseling. Okay. Sorry, I do. It's a good week when I go to my therapist's office. Okay. I've told my therapist many times, I don't live paycheck to paycheck. I live counseling session to counseling session. Okay. It helps me stay sane, okay? And there's an expression that says, when mama happy, everybody happy. In this household, when mama's sane, everybody's sane. And it's a good day. Okay?
Like counseling session to counseling session.
So my point is, whatever that is for you, if you're feeling stuck along your journey to trying to keep true to your choices and your mindset so you can pursue your goals and your dreams and your purpose and whatever, get help through whatever. Maybe that's a church, or maybe that's a Bible study, maybe that's a friend or a counselor or whatever, or you need to read a book or come up with someone cracking a plan to come up with a solution to solve whatever that problem is. There's nothing wrong with getting resources from time to time when you come up against something that you're having a roadblock and you're trying to break through to keep going strong.
Tell me, what do you do with this information that you're giving? I mean, it's powerful. What you're saying is powerful. I know you're a writer.
Yes.
But do you have seminars? Do you have workshops? Do you go out there? Yeah, you're on podcasts, sharing. That's good as well. But what else do you do with it? Because it's powerful.
I haven't gotten there yet. I'm hoping to, aside from podcast, I'm really hoping, and I'm looking into options of trying to, I guess, broaden and expand my reach through maybe doing more speaking gigs to a more expanded I mean, podcaster, I don't know how much you get more expanded because depending on how wide the audience is, that's international. It's over,
Right.
Spotify. And so it's a pretty good medium for
Oh
doing
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Getting on either virtual or eventually maybe physical stages and reaching more people through another avenue, not just one, because usually,
Mhm.
having more options is better than not. And then I am working on putting resources together to offer to people to give more information than just simply my message to hopefully help them in their
Mhm.
journeys as well.
Yeah. I'm gonna go back to your books, but here how I'm gonna be doing it now. Your books are your life story, right?
Yes.
And let me look at motherhood, single motherhood, and there's a book for that from you.
Not yet. It will
Not
be.
yet.
It will be. I'm writing book 2 and 3 in motherhood. That'll be out in the fall. That talks about becoming a mother or two, and then because
Mm.
I have to stay in order because I was not always a single mother. I
Right,
only
right.
became a
Yeah.
single mom in 2017.
Okay.
So book 4 of my motherhood series will be exactly dealing with what it was like to become a solo mom, and I hope since motherhood book 2 and 3 will be out this fall of 2021, I'm hoping fall of 22 that one will be coming. I've already written half of it. I need to finish it this in the fall or the summer.
What has been your journey through motherhood, single motherhood? Sorry, not motherhood, single motherhood. Right.
Right.
The challenges, the good part of it. Talk to me a bit about that.
Well, I was originally when my husband passed away, we were living in New Hampshire because of his military career, and that put us 26 hours away from most of our friends and family. And so I made the decision that I thought it was better for my children to move back to Louisiana, which is why I'm in Louisiana.
Okay.
4 years ago, summer of 2017, because while I had friends in New Hampshire who I still stay in contact with, I had a lot wider net of resources and people to fall back on to help and assist in getting established and finding my way as a solo parent and raising two children. And I knew that even though um, it could never replace my husband or their father, being close to their grandparents and all the friends we had down here would probably go a long way of helping them kind of find their way and have friends and stability and routine and structure and get kind of acclimated to our new reality. And because of my disability, if you sometimes getting help is all about having numbers, and I have a lot more people down here. So
Oh, yeah.
it's very practical in a lot of ways. Like, okay, I need to get somewhere. Well, if person A through E all of a sudden aren't available, then I have 5 other plans I can fall back on.
Mhm, mhm.
It's
Boy,
just,
is a boy and a girl. What? Two girls?
I have a daughter and a son. Yes, correct.
Okay. Age group? What's the age?
Right now they are 10 and 7. This summer they'll be
Okay.
8 and 11.
Are you prepared for adolescence?
Yeah, I'm not so sure about that one. That's coming fast. I'm like, oh my God, help me. She's going to be in middle school like in a couple of months. I'm like, oh crap, what have I
I
done?
know, right?
Yeah, I'll figure it out. Luckily, my girlfriends who are a little bit ahead of me, they have teenagers, so I can call okay, this just happened. What did you do 2 years ago? Hence resources, the tribe of friends, resources, your network.
You got that, right? Having and getting resources. Yeah.
Which is why I came to Louisiana because I knew I was going to get a bunch of them.
Yeah, you'll be fine. You'll be fine because I tell you, you're an amazing person. I think you're focused and you'll get through it. You'll get through it. But tell me now, your faith.
Actually, when they're 18 and 21 and not airing their dirty laundry on national TV somewhere, okay?
I tell you, right? But you'll be fine. Your faith, though, Michaela.
Yes.
Tell me about your faith. You have a book for that.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I've been a believer, a woman of faith for most of my life. And
Right.
I mean, I don't disagree. And obviously, I believe in life as a choice and self-care and mindset and resources. But first and foremost, it's by my faith that has sustained me through every single one of these. I know without a doubt, if it wasn't for my faith, then I would not still be here. Period.
Yeah.
In the story, it's not debatable.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And that can be a resource for people who believe. When you do go through times of trouble, you go to your faith, you go to your church, you go to your beliefs, you go to your scriptures or, things to lean on. That's what we're supposed to do with our faith, and it pulls us through.
Oh yeah, definitely, and I agree with you. And I'm happy that that's one of the concept that you teach because it's critical as well. Heartfelt meditation. That's it. Yeah. Tell me about that. I saw that on your website.
As in how it came to be or the book that it came from?
Oh, it came to be, and again the book because
Okay.
I'm tying all of this into book, into your book.
It
Yeah.
was the book that I wrote. It's about a collection of 70 poems that I took from favorite scriptures, and I wanted to really kind of, I'm not saying I'm God, but I really wanted to give people um, more material of really trying to dive into the scripture and understanding what it was supposed to be or what I thought it was supposed to be. And then I got the idea from that. I was passionate about the word and my faith, so I'm writing about my heartfelt meditation. So everything I write that I'm passionate about is something that comes from something I feel heartfelt about. And so I write on them. So that's why on my website it says heartfelt meditation. So,
Oh, cool. I love that. I love that. But you've written a lot.
yes, I have a
How
lot
do
more to write.
Yeah, no, I see it. I'm hearing that. How does the inspiration comes? And interestingly, most of us we are inspired during the night. When I get up in the morning, I am inspired and I'll start to write on my phone. That message part. So, what inspires you, and what time of the day or night do you really get inspired?
It's not really a time or a night
Okay.
necessarily. It's more of what I hear or like my own experiences. I'm learning things and I think they can help people and I want to share that, what I've learned. But it's also I'll be around with girlfriends and we'll be talking about something like, oh my God, that's a cool idea. I need to write on that. Or I think that might be interesting to people. Or I'll be sitting in church and think, wow, that's good food for thought. Let's get a dialogue about it. Let's see what other people think about it. I'm not here to necessarily persuade anyone. I just want
Yeah.
we learn through communication. We learn through processing ideas. We learn and grow when we have conversations and communication and dialogue. So oftentimes what I present, especially in my book on religion and We the People, it's about presenting a thought and let's get a dialogue started and a conversation started and be open about it and see what we think and how we might change it if we think it needs to be changed or whatever, just talking about things.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. To me, you're a very unique person.
Thank you.
Yeah, especially not necessarily because you have a challenge, right? But because you're a very prolific writer, and I like how you write. Your life story, and you write for others, right? A lot
Yeah.
of us write for others, but what we do, we write you write to help them to get by. You dig
Oh, I
deep
hope
in,
so. That's
yeah.
what I want to do. I strive to do that. I'd like to think that maybe hearing my story, someone might can, even though it may not be the exact same story or journey through life, that I mean, these are all, I think, the whole thing of life is a choice and mindset and self care and resources are very universal. It's not just specific to disability or divorce or grief and loss. It's anything and whatever you're trying to overcome, those can help you overcome whatever you're trying to overcome. It's the things that allow you to overcome, not necessarily specific to what you're overcoming. So we all struggle. I mean, I don't know a person that gets to this life unscathed and didn't have some type of challenge or obstacle or difficulty. It's pretty common to the human experience. So that means at some point we all need to know how to overcome if we want to be overcomers and thrive in this world.
Mhm, mhm. Tell me something, Michaela. Let me go back to the divorce. If you'd like to talk about it. I mean, in any way you'd like to talk
I'm
about
an
it.
open book.
All right, that's fine. Tell us about the divorce, and how did you deal with it? Let me go there before. Yeah.
Um, as I said, I was raised in a faith-based family, and so we didn't believe in divorce, and I still don't actually, which is ironic considering I'm divorced, which may sound hypocritical, but that's not my intent. So I struggled with that decision for a good 6 months. I never thought that would be something that's a part of my life. I mean, heck, no one does. No one goes to the altar saying, "Yay, let's get married. We're going to be divorced in 2 years," or you would never
Oh,
get married. No
I
one's going
always
to
say
do
that.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no one does that. But so I struggled with that decision for a good 6 months because I believe in the sanctity in marriage, and I try to be a woman of my word and keep my promises and the vows I took. I were sacred, and I'm a woman of my convictions and integrity, and I didn't want to just. I don't take those things lightly. You know what I mean? It was not a light decision, and me leaving it wasn't as equally as not as a light decision, but due to what took place in that marriage and what I was in great soul searching and reflecting and pondering it over those 6 months, I realized that was the only recourse at that point. That as much as I do believe with anything is possible with God, it can be fixed, but it takes two to do so. And unfortunately, he was in the equation who was not wanting to truly fix it. And so therefore it was never going to be fixed. You can't do it on your own, because in a marriage, you have two people. So therefore it takes two people to make a marriage. It takes two people to make a marriage work and stay married. And if one is not willing to do it, it's kind of hard to do it on your own.
What advice would you give persons who are going through divorce in order to overcome, that sort of overcoming?
Right. Once I made the decision, and I did, in fact, leave my first marriage and get a divorce, I took time for myself, because it is a type of loss. It's not the same as I've learned, it's not the same as losing the love of your life or your spouse, but it is a type of loss in many ways, of what you had and what you thought you would have and what you thought was to come. And you were a we and now you're a you again, or whatever. But for me, I obviously a fan of counseling, so I was in counseling. And there's a program called Divorce Care that I went through that helps you look at the different aspects of what it is to go through divorce and kind of think them through and figure out how you feel about them and what you can do to respond to them and work through them. And then I was back in my area where I am now. So I was around my girlfriends and I went to church, and I decided to take that year to kind of just focus on me and reflect and see, okay, what now? And since I'm not having the life I thought I was going to have, and it wasn't headed in the direction that I thought it was going to, what do I want next? What do I want out of this for me? And where do I want to head? And so I kind of just took a year to kind of refocus, recenter, and evaluate and get back to me being me, and just see what I wanted to do, and enjoy my own time and space and journey and just figuring things out.
It might be a popular belief that the person who initiates the divorce never feels sad.
Not true.
Right? Okay.
You're still losing stuff in it. You may want it in the sense that it's the only recourse for you, but if you're being truly honest with yourself, you're still losing something that you thought was going to happen, and it's still a loss. And you're still, if you want to properly get through it, you're going to need to grieve that and go through the process of feeling those emotions that come with it, even no matter who initiated it or not.
Right. Okay. Sounds good. Tell me, Michaela, your writing and you, what makes you and your writing unique? What makes you unique and your writing unique?
Well, first of all, I think it is the unique experiences I've had. I mean, they in themselves, especially individually, aren't necessarily unique. I've known several disabled people. I've had friends that have been divorced, and I've known other people who have lost a spouse. But I think the trifecta that I've experienced, even before the age of 40, which any one of those things could be life over insurmountable options for anyone. And then you add 2 to it, and then you add 3 to it. It's like, what the fill in the blank. Use your imagination. Yeah. But so I've lived all 3, not just 1, not 2, but now 3. I don't know many people. I mean, I know our planet is like 8 billion people or something. So I'm quite sure there's somewhere in the world who can say you and I are having the same journey. But anywhere in my life knowledge and wheelhouse and life experience with people, I've known people who have been disabled. I've known people who have been divorced. I've known people who have lost their spouse. I may have even known someone who have been through both. But no one in my knowledge, and I've interacted with, do I know that's been through all 3. So as an author who's writing on her very diversified and varied, interesting life experiences, I can share knowledge on what it is to not travel through one, but quite a few interesting circumstances to boot.
So that speaks to the 38 triple D.
Yes, and not only that, a lot of my writings, such as on motherhood and faith, I'm not really an expert per se, as I don't have a piece of paper behind my name except in politics, because I actually have a master's in it. But
okay, cool. Yeah.
But even in politics, I like to come to the table because parenting, motherhood, particularly religion and politics, can be very what you want to say polarizing topics, and I feel like people are willing to consider those discussions if you make it more lighthearted, more fun, kind of approach it with a little humor and cleverness. So I don't want to be like, okay, I'm the expert. I know. No, I don't.
Yeah.
I'm just sharing what I think and observe. And I just want people to be willing to consider things and have a dialogue and see what they think about it and explore it for themselves and learn and grow and, maybe believe, maybe not, or whatever, but at least be informed. And so I
Yeah.
want it to be very conversational. I want it to be very much, it's like you're having a conversation with a good friend at a coffee
Yeah,
house.
right.
And you're just talking about life, that's
Cool. Yeah.
so in motherhood and in my religious book and even in politics, I try to make it be very non-threatening, very not off-putting, and just very conversational. Like we're just chatting. We're talking like friends,
Mhm.
having a dialogue.
Cool. You're listening to Canute Exploration, your topic in a podcast. I'm sitting in with Michaela Cox, who's a writer, and she described herself as being a lifelong legally blind individual. That 38 from 38 Triple D, where that 38 comes from?
Well, like I said, I all three of the D's of disability, divorce at 26, and then I lost my husband at 38.
Oh, at
So
38.
at a very young age, by probably most people's standards, I don't know, it's all relative. Not as young as some, but definitely younger. I could say at 38, I was living experience and trying to strive and thrive through a disability, had been divorced before, and now have lost the love of my life by the age of 38 in 2017.
Okay. Something we didn't talk about when I asked about who Michaela Cox really is. You're academic, and I'd love to hear about that, and your professional life outside of books, right?
When I was in college and undergraduate or university, I got my BA in sociology with a double minor in English and history. No, I can't just do one thing if y'all haven't figured that out by now. I'm always juggling. And then when I went to grad school while I was in New Hampshire, I got my MA, Master's in Political Science and American Government, and also a grad certificate in Ancient Classical History. And then 2018, I was academically published in the International Journal of Social Science Studies 4 times.
Cool. I'm an academic freak, so I love that. I love to hear that. I love to hear that. You have worked elsewhere in the corporate society, private sector?
No,
You have not.
I've had a few I've had a few odd end jobs here and there throughout my life, but
Mhm.
speaking of social issues and political issues, for I don't know how many of y'all are familiar with the reality of the disabled population and
Okay.
demographic of this in America. For as much as I love my country and they're a great
Yeah.
country, we get a lot of things wrong as much as we get right.
Right.
And the way the opportunities and many times instances, the way the disabled population is treated in this country, not so much. And it has been my experience that especially when times are hard, if the normal people are low on the totem pole, the disabled people are going to be even more low on the totem pole and are not offered many opportunities. So as I stated before, like to think outside the box and kind of find my own way. I figured maybe writing and through things I can do at home would get me around the very cumbersome minefield of trying to get employment and gainful employment at that as
Right.
a disabled member of society in America. So if I can write from home or teach online or coach online or whatever and other things, then I can fend for myself and
Mhm.
still pursue my dreams and goals and find a way to have a productive life.
I'm gonna pick your brain a little, Michaela. The a American Disability Act. That's it. Yeah. And
1990. Here's the deal. I'm glad. Here's the deal. That's a whole another rabbit hole. And I am not taking away from any other
yeah.
part, demographic,
Yeah.
population of America. Okay.
Right. Mhm.
As it should have been, we should have had women's rights. As it should have been, we should have had African American rights or Black rights and civil rights. I am not saying that. But what I am saying is, after all those movements and civil rights movements, as it should have been, and moving the needle in a much better direction in our history of our country, I'm not taking that. I'm not denying that.
I know. Yeah.
Even after gay rights, okay, no matter whether you come down on the agreement or disagreement side of it, even after that one, doesn't matter for the sake of this conversation, even after that movement, the last movement for rights of any population and demographic in this country has been the disabled. It took until 1990, okay? We're talking on the better side of 31 years ago, if I'm doing my math correct. Remember, I'm liberal arts, not math and science.
Yeah.
Finally, to have one
Okay.
legislation on the books that this country was required to follow. 1990, okay? Not even 50 years ago. And since then, it's never been revisited. It's never been revamped. The holes in it have never been filled and figured out how to more correctly address the issues and policy decisions of social issues for the disabled of education, transportation, employment, income, whatever you want to add to that list. 1990. 31 years. And that is the only piece that this country has. And this goes back into politics, but it was not until 2008. It doesn't matter whether you like them or not, but it was a matter of history. Until 2008, when Sarah Palin was running as on John McCain's VP ticket. I'm pretty sure I'm correct, as it was 2008. Y'all may have to correct me on the date.
All right.
Yeah, it was 2008 because it was Mitt Romney and it was Trump. I'm pretty sure I'm correct. But anyway, she was the only one that was in a position, as far as I know, in my recollection, that was willing to get up on a national stage and not only bring up the word disabled population, but willing to actually start an honest and open national dialogue for the whole entire country of the United States to hear. Since she was thrown under the bus of the RNC and John McCain, however you want to perceive that, and was no longer running as VP and they lost that election, no one else has talked about that topic. No one.
Okay. I love how you're passionate about that. And that's cool, right? That's cool. I commend you for that. I really, really appreciate you doing that because it's critical. But that act, looking at that act, and bear with me for a while, and the EOA, that's it, the Equal Opportunity Employment Act, something like that. But it's an act that
there's a whole water. Okay. All right. Certain populations have affirmative action. Now, whether you agree with affirmative action or not is another story. I don't know if I necessarily do, but that's a philosophical angle, whatever. Okay, and that is a lot easier on paper to do affirmative action when you can draw a number and say, okay, they hired 5 so many demographics versus 6 demographics. You can track that, okay? And you can hold mathematically and metrics feet to the fire. But let me tell you something. Because of the ADA, an employer knows that if they don't do what they're supposed to, they're going to get their asses handed to them in court and sued. So they're not going to admit to the elephant in the room that everybody knows that's smart enough to know what's really going down. They're not going to admit to that because they're going to get sued. They're not going to admit to that crap. So all they have to say is, well, we're no longer hiring or you're overqualified. When it really comes down to, we're not going to hire you because you're disabled, even though we may feel for you, but because in order to hire you, we would have to hire 2 more of you, most likely, to finish the work in a timely manner to protect our bottom line when we're only allotted so many hours for work hours in a week in corporate America or businesses, as they should, because they're a business. That's what they do. They don't protect their bottom line. They don't need to be in business. That's what business is. So they're going to protect their bottom line. So if protecting their bottom line is not in the best interest, hire me is not in their best interest, they're not going to hire me, but you're not going to be able to prove it because they're not going to admit to it because they're going to get their butts handed to them in court.
Michaela, you need to go into politics, Michaela. I want to see you in politics.
No, I'd rather write about it. I don't need to be in the swamp. But my point is, you will never be able to prove it because they're not going to allow themselves to be in a position to put themselves on the wrong side of the ADA. So the ADA, while it was a good first, amazing, fundamental, profound piece of legislation that needed, there's holes in it and we have to fix it, and no one is willing to talk about it because no one wants to, and no one is doing a dang thing about it. Or I mean, I'm sure there are, but not in a way that we are still here 31 years later and still contending with the same issues.
Wow. Okay. Going back to the journey of your experience, Michaela, what are your journey, the experiences that you have? What have you learned from it?
I've learned several things. I've learned well, of course, life is a choice, mindset, self-care, and resources. But beyond that, I've learned that if you want something, you've got to work for it. If it's worth having and doing, you're going to do it well and not stop and not give up and not let anything stand in your way. You can do anything with hard work and sheer willpower and putting your mind to it. I've learned I will not be defined by my life experiences. I will define them. And we all need to enjoy the journey and live our best journey possible, and let it not and let us define for ourselves what we want that journey to be, because we have one life, we get one shot at it. So define your journey for yourself, thrive in it, and enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. What's the future in terms of writing? You said something, well, you mentioned something about that, but is it that you want to extend that into, the detail in terms of future of your writing? What's the plan you have?
This year I'm going to be working on getting my first book out on the journey called on the series called Now I See, about my own life experiences. Right. That'll probably be a 5 or 6 book series, maybe 7. In the fall it'll be Motherhood book 2 and 3, and then I'm already looking towards 2022. I'm a planner. I'm a ducks in a row type of
That's
girl.
all right. That's cool.
I've mapped it out. I will be releasing, now that I have all these series established, it's just each year writing the next book in all these series. Next year it'll be the second one in Now I See, the third one and the second one in Religion, the fourth one in Motherhood, the third one in my children's series, and the second one in Now I See, and then preparing for 2022 to release the second one in We the People series. So it's just working on the next project, getting one done and knocking down the next, and just
love that. Yeah, keeping it going. How many books are so far?
7, and then hopefully another one in June and another one in August, and then 4 in the fall.
They're all on Amazon now. Any other platform?
I'm sorry?
Any other platform? Barnes and Noble?
My website. You can find all the things from my website of heartfeltmeditations.com. I am on Facebook and I am on Instagram, but you can get access to all of them through my website.
Okay. I'm winding down now, but what advice would you give the child who, looking back at your childhood, right? What advice would you give that child now who was born legally blind, but listening to you? What would you say to that adolescent? Yeah, that child.
Let anything stand in your way. If you decide you want to do something, make it happen. The world's not going to do it for you. I can promise you that. You have to choose. And if you decide to choose to work hard, set your mind to it, and not let anything stand in your way, and not let it define you, because you can define your own reality and your own journey and make it be what you want it to be.
Great. Tell me, where can people actually find you apart from your website? There is a telephone number. I want you to repeat it and tell me your social media.
I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, and then I have email and phone number, and you can contact me through my website. So all the things,
Great. Hey, Michaela, I could talk to you for the entire day. I wish I could do a part 2. Don't rule that out. Let me tell you.
No, I would love to come back as my other books come out. I would love to contact.
Cool. Yeah, you just let me know, right? You have my email address, right?
Correct.
And, because I'd love to talk to you again. You're such a great interviewee. You're such an amazing person, And
I like your questions. I think it allowed for a good dialogue to come out and hopefully put out things that people can really relate to and help them along their own journey of whatever they're going through.
Thank you, Michaela. And I will see you again. I will keep in touch with you.
Yes.
I also write, and you're an amazing person, right? And I'd love to follow, what you're doing.
I would too.
All right, Michaela. So thank you for coming and Canute Exploration, your topic in a podcast, and it was nice having you around. Right? Learned a lot.
Okay.
All right. You take care, and I will talk with you. Keep smiling. Keep writing. Right?
Yes. Yes.
All right, Michaela. All right. Take care. Nice.
Yes. Bye-bye.
That was Michaela Cox. Very entertaining, very amazing person. I'm hoping that you will get her books, right? Go to Amazon. you are seeing it there scrolling. Those of you who are watching, right? You seeing it there scrolling. You can get in touch with her. Her phone number is there, and Instagram as well. You will also find her on Twitter. No, I see 779. That's the Twitter, Instagram angle, right? Go there and you'll find um, Michaela Cox, right? You can communicate with her. And her website, we had put up our website earlier. Let me do that again. Our website, www.myheartfeltmeditations.com. You will see her there as well. And there is another website you will see scrolling across, myheartfeltmeditation.com/podcast. You will see a number of podcasts that she is involved with. And please support Michaela. Michaela, a very interesting story. You heard it here, and there's a lot more for you to hear. I'm hoping to do a part 2 with her when the books come out, right? So stay tuned. We'll have more Michaela Cox. It was nice having her. She's very entertaining and very intelligent and very amazing. And go ahead, get her books and read more of what she has to teach. Thank you for joining Canyouth Exploration today. Remember, we're still in a pandemic. Remember, the restrictions still on. Wear your mask, wash your hands, social distance. And I took my vaccine. I am not forcing you to do it, but I'm encouraging you, if you'd want to, please go and do it, right? And help us to get back to normal. We're tired. We're extremely tired of the pandemic at this point. We're extremely tired of the coronavirus, and we want to get back to normal. Help us to do that. It was nice seeing you today. It was nice having you here listening to Canute Exploration. Those of you and our podcast platform, go ahead and share, subscribe, and rate, comment, and stay safe. Goodbye. Thanks for listening.